I've got some exciting news. Notion just released their Files API endpoint, which means we can finally upload things like audio files, videos, images, icons directly to Notion through, an automation rather than having to do it manually. This has been a long requested feature because it unlocks a ton of cool use cases. And so in this video, I want to just very quickly walk you through the basic principles of how you can use the new Notion File API to upload pretty much anything to Notion, and then share a few of my favorite use cases for you to play around. So let's jump right in and see how this works. And don't worry, even if you're not a technical user and have never used an automation before or don't know exactly what an API is, I'm going to walk you step by step through the process so you can start using this yourself. First up, the general process. When we want to upload any file to Notion, we need to follow these 3 steps. We need to tell Notion that A, we want to create an upload. Then we need to give it the file that we want to upload. And then last but not least, once the upload is complete, we can then reference it in our Notion workspace and set it, for example, as an icon on a page, as a cover image, or just, as a file in any of our blocks. So for example, we could add an audio note to a transcript, or we could set the daily icon for our journal. And here's our example challenge for this workflow. We want to get this little image, right, the logo for my Notion consultancy, and we want to add it as an icon to a Notion page. Now, in order to do so, we will use an automation tool called Make. Right? There are a bunch of automation tools that you can use. You can use make.com, Relay, N8N. They all will do the same thing. But for this first example, I'm going to use this one. Now, if you don't have a Make account yet, you can check out the link in the description and you can create one for free. This is all possible on the free plan, so you can just start building along with me. If you created your account, you can simply click on the new scenario button, right? So if you're in your organization, there will be this create a new scenario button, and then you can use that to create a new scenario, and then this is what you're going to see. Now, before we build the thing, here's a preview, right? This is how the finished product is going to look like. We're getting our file, and then the 3 steps that I talked about, we're going to register our upload, we're going to upload the file to Notion, and then last but not least, we're telling Notion where to use our icon. So I'm going to quickly click on save and run this just so you have an idea, right? And in a second, this logo here will pop up as the icon, and there you have it. So now is the question, how do you do that? Now, the very first step, right, is to get our file, whatever it is that we want to process. And for this simple beginner workflow, we're going to use a helper, right? We're going to upload our file to Google Drive, but you could just as well use Dropbox or SharePoint and use that to easily add it to our automation. You can then later on, right, do things more robust. You can send it directly from your phone, for example, if you're taking a picture, but that's a bit more advanced. So for this, beginner workflow, let's focus on something simple. In this case, what you want to do is you want to create a folder in your Google Drive, you want to upload a file, and then you want to find the file ID. The easiest way to do so is to click here on the plus button and then go to Google Drive, and then first pick the Watch Files in a Folder option. And then what you want to do is you want to select, you want to connect it, right? So in my case, I've already connected my Google Drive to my account. So I just get this. But if you never use Google Drive together with Make, you can click on Add and then just go through the authorization process. Then what we're going to say is, well, we need to find our file. So what we're going to tell it, well, okay, let's watch our files by created time. That's fine. We can leave this as is. Then here where it says select the folders to be watched, here you want to basically select the path to your file. So I know that in my drive, I've saved it in areas. And then under areas, I saved it in my content. And within content, I saved it in the, failed to load data. Okay, let's refresh this again. I saved it in the file upload folder. And I'm going to click on save. Now, the next thing that I need to do is I need to right-click this quickly and say choose where to start. Say, all, so it gets all the files in that folder because I already previously uploaded it. Right-click this and then run this module only. Now, what I get back here is basically all the files that it found in that folder. In my case, that's just one, right? So I have only one element in here. And the most important part is this file ID, right? That's the thing that I care about. This is how we can access and download our file. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm quickly going to remove this module. Because again, right, for this simple demo workflow, all we care about is that we have one file that we can upload to Notion. So let's right-click this and say delete module. And then instead, what I want to start my flow with is in Google Drive, the download a file option. And if I use download a file and select my correct connection again, what you'll see is I can simply give it an ID, right? So the ID that we copied previously, we can now just paste in here, remove the space in the beginning. And now with one click, right, I can download the file and get that into my automation. And now we can handle it by upload it to Notion and do the rest with it. Now, if you were building, a workflow for your team, something sort of that is more than a demo workflow, you would probably have a different entryway, right? You might have, for example, a Google Drive folder where people can add invoices to it, right? Or some other files that you regularly need to process. So in this case, where you would say, okay, please watch this folder, and whenever a new file is added, then I want to trigger this automation. But here, we're just going to work with one file to learn how it works. Now, the second thing that we need to do after we got our file, right, is we need to tell Notion that we want to start an upload. And in order to do so, what we want to do is click on plus and then click on the Notion module. Now, again, the option that we will pick here is the make an API call, right? So it's none of the make doesn't have an upload element yet. This might change, right? By the time that you watch this video, you might be able to search for upload, but since Notion just released the API, it will take a bit of time for all the other tools, right, to build this as a direct option. So for now, we need to do it ourselves using the make an API call option. In here, we now need to set up our basic data. And it's fairly simple. So what we need to do is we need to give it a URL that it's supposed to upload to. And the URL that we need here is this v1/file uploads. And then we need to change the Notion version because it's a newer one. So here we need to put in 2022/06/28. And then we need to change the method to post. The last thing we then need to do is in the body, we just need to put in 2 curly brackets, right? And that's about it. That's our general API call with which we register with Notion, hey, we want to upload a file. So I can just click on save here for a moment, save my scenario overall, and then you can right-click this module. And you can just say run this only. So this is just to see that it works, right? And then we get a response back from Notion. So here I will see now, okay, this worked, right? We got a status code of 200 back, which means the system responded with it is okay. And then under body, I can see now, okay, we have created a file upload object and we get an ID for it. And now we have 1 hour to upload our file to this in order to, process it. Otherwise, this will expire and we need to, tell Notion again, hey, I want to upload something. Now we need to actually upload that file. So we're going to click on plus here. And this time we're going to use the HTTP module, right? So you're going to type into your search bar HTTP and then the make a request option. And that's because it's a little bit easier to handle file uploads through that rather than through the Notion API upload option. So in this case, we need to do things a bit more from scratch. But again, don't worry, just follow everything that I do, and then you should be able to do it with no issues. The first thing that we need to do is we need to give it a URL, right? To what address should we send our file? And luckily, Notion gives us this address, right? In our previous step, if we click in here, we get all the things from the previous step. And we see one of the options here is upload URL. So Notion tells us after we register and upload, okay, now that you want to upload something, please upload it to this URL. So we're going to just click on this one. The next thing is we need to set the method to post. And then we need to set our headers. Headers are basically some meta information about our request, where we tell Notion, hey, we want to upload something, and then we need to tell it first that we are allowed to do it, and then we have the right version. So let's click on add a header. And the 2 headers that we need to add are first authorization with a Z, and then the second header will be Notion-version, both capital. For Notion version, we already know what we need to add in, right? It's this 22/06/28. And now for authorization, we need to add an API key. Now, if you never created a Notion API key, don't worry, it's fairly simple. All you need to do is open a new tab in your browser, and you want to go to notion.so/my integrations. Then you'll see this page, right? You might have to log in, and here you can create a new integration. Very simple. Simply click on here, right? Give it a name, test API, then pick the workspace where you want to upload your files, select internal, and then click on save. I'm not going to do this because I have already one, but basically once you've created this is what you'll see. Mine is called file uploads, and then here you get this internal integration secret. And then you want to show this and you want to copy it. Now this is your API key, so you don't want to expose it. And like after I record this video, I will refresh this, right? So that it's not, exposed, because otherwise anyone could upload files to your workspace and you probably don't want that. So let's click on copy, go back to our automation, and now type bearer with a capital B, 1 space, and then paste in your API key. And this is pretty much it, right? We now tell Notion, okay, this is the place where we want to upload it to. We are allowed to upload it, right? We have an API key to access our workspace, and we have the right version. The last thing we need to do is tell it which file to upload. So in order to do so, we go to body type. We're going to select multipart form data, and then we're going to click here on add item under fields. Here, what we are selecting will be file, and as the key, we just put in file small as without caps. And then down here under the file option, you can actually just select the file from the previous step, right? That's why it's fairly easy with this module to do it, because you don't need to know anything about how multipart form data works. You simply select, okay, the file that I downloaded here in the previous step, that's what I want to upload. And then we're going to click on pass response yes, and then on save. Now, that was a lot, so it's better to test now at this step to make sure that we actually have done everything correct. So I'm going to move myself over to the side here, and I'm going to click on run once. And what should happen now is that we download the file, that we tell Notion we want to upload something, and then we actually upload the file. So in this case, right, we see everything is green, so this looks good, and we can now inspect this last element, click on the bubble, and see, okay, we wanted to upload something. Status code is 200, that means it went through, everything is good. And under data, we see now, okay, we uploaded this file, and it has a specific ID, and it will be available for us to use for the next hour. So that's also very important. Once you uploaded a file, you have 1 hour to use it in your Notion workspace. If you don't use it, you need to upload it again. But if you do use it, then it will never expire, right? So it's a little bit like Notion says, okay, if you upload a file to our servers and you then don't end up using it in your Notion workspace, then we're going to remove it. But once you reference it anywhere, this will no longer be an issue. Just something to keep in mind, right? If you sort of develop or like test this workflow over a few days, don't be surprised if at some point this expires if you don't use it quick enough. So let's actually do this. Let's use this file. And this part now is basically as it was before. This is the new part, right? This allows us to upload files. But the way we use a file once it has been uploaded works the same way as previously with Notion. So you can just go to the general Notion API references in order to learn, okay, how can I add a file somewhere? And you can find these API documentations with a link in the description, or simply go to Google, right, and then ask for, okay, Notion API documentation. Oops. And then you'll find this Notion API page, and then here under API reference, right, there's everything you need to know about the different blocks, right? And you can say, okay, what do I need to do, for example, to upload something to an image block in Notion? In this case, what we want to do is we want to set it as an icon. So I've already created this element, so I'm just going to paste it here. I'm going to walk you through it so it's a little bit quicker. So what we want to do is we want to use this URL, right? The URL is https API Notion v1 and then pages, and then the last part here, that is the ID of the Notion page that you want to upload to. Now, how do you find the ID for a page? Well, the easiest way to do so is to go to your Notion workspace, right? Let's actually remove this also so we can test it in a moment. And you want to copy the link to this specific page, right? So I'm going to copy it, or like you can click on the 3 dots up here, right? And you can say, okay, please, where's the copy link option? Here, copy link. And then in your browser, you can inspect this then. And this part, right after the name of your page, before the question mark, this is the ID of your page. So this is what you want to copy, and that's what you want to add here in order to tell about this is the page where I want to set the icon. The rest of this should look fairly familiar. We need to give it the method again, right? This time it's patch, not post. We need to authorize using our same API key. We need to give it the same Notion version. And then the change is down here in the body. Here we need to now select raw as the first option, and content type will be JSON, application JSON. And you can just select them from the dropdown. And then this is what you need to put in the body. This will also be in the description of this YouTube video. And I'm going to create a blog post as soon as possible, right? It walks you through this, so you can just copy paste it. But basically, this tells the system, please give me, change the icon on this page, change it to the file type file upload, and then as the file upload itself, give it the ID. And here, right, it says ID. This is where we map from our previous step from the upload, that ID element. That's how we can tell Notion, please use this specific image that I previously uploaded. And of course, right, and if you get stuck anywhere, please feel free to drop a comment in the description. Happy to help you troubleshoot. Otherwise, ChatGPT is very good when it comes to helping you out with these things. And then what we can do is we can simply click on save. And now we should have everything ready in order to upload this. So let's, test it. Click on run once. And then we should be able to see in a moment here as a file API, our icon popping up here. And there it is, it worked. So that's the basic flow, right, of how you can now use this file API to add anything to Notion. Get the file somehow into your automation, probably using the downloaded file option from Google Drive or SharePoint. Tell Notion, I want to upload something, upload the actual file, and then wherever you want to use it in Notion, right, add it through another API call. Let's look at a second quick example. Alternatively to setting it as an icon, right, you can just upload it as an image to any page body. The process is pretty much the same, right? We have our 3 steps previously. And then the only thing that changes, how do we use it? So in this case, right, to add it to a page, you need a different URL. You need this api.notion v1 blocks. And then you put the page ID here and then /children. And that tells it, well, add a child, right, to this page, add another element to it. The option, the method is still patch, authorization, and this stays the same. And then the thing that changes is the body, right? In this case, again, right, this will be in the video description and in the blog post once it's ready. And basically what we tell it, well, what child do we want to add to this Notion page? And there's an image, and then we don't have a specific caption, and the type, where the source, basically where this comes from, is our file upload, and this is our data. And again, same process otherwise, right? Let's click on run once here and head to our Notion page. In a second, right, our image should appear down here, at least if everything works. So you see, okay, something is happening. Yes, there's our image. And we could, keep running this now and would keep adding this image to the page, which Again, right, it could be an image, it could be another type of file, right? If you wanted to use a PDF that you've uploaded, you could do that. It needs to match, of course, right? So whatever you put down here, right, where you say type image, this would need to be type PDF if it's a PDF. It would need to be type audio if it's an audio file, or video if it's a video file. Now, one last important note before we go to a few other use cases. This simple method works for files below 20 megabytes, right? If you have files larger than that, you need to split the upload into several steps. That's a little bit more complicated, so I have added to the blog post once it's ready and record a separate video just because you need to, go in a few more details. But this is the simple process file, which should be good for most simple use cases. Now, as promised, a few of the use cases that I'm personally really excited for. The first one is email attachments. I posted a video a few weeks ago, right, where I showed you how you can easily add your emails to Notion until we get a proper Notion mail to Notion integration, right? It's a very easy flow. I'll link it also down below in the description. And in that one, what we did for attachments, right, is we uploaded them to Google Drive and then added the link to that Google Drive file to Notion. Now, if you wanted, right, you could just upload the attachment directly in Notion for easier processing. You can also use it if you have a company, right, and you have team bots, and you, for example, say, okay, I want to connect my Notion to my HR tool. And whenever a new person joins, I want to automatically add them to Notion. I want to also add their profile picture there, right? Maybe the one they have on Slack or somewhere else, so you have everywhere the same visual. You can use it for daily journal images, and this can take a few different shapes, right? For one, you could build on Flow, where you say, okay, I just have my phone, and I take a picture of something, and I'll have a shortcut from my phone that will automatically upload that picture right to my daily journal entry. Or you could take a different spin on it and say, okay, every day I want to create an image, right? I'm going to use a different automation that's every day, right, creates a nice banner image, maybe using the Google Slides function, right, and fills some sort of nice aesthetic, and then I'm going to add that image to my Notion space. Similar, right, if you work in a company, right, you can enforce company branding. You can always add the same type of cover image, right, or the same type of icon to new pages programmatically to make sure that everything in your workspace has, like a similar look. You can use it if you use a finance tracker Notion, right, for the receipts and invoices. Again, I have a video for that, right, how you build a finance tracker Notion. And now what you could do is, okay, I want to take a screenshot, right, of a receipt. I want to use AI to extract all the key information from it, right, how much I had to pay. And then besides the actual numbers in the Notion database, I also want to have this original file, right, because maybe I need it for bookkeeping purposes. Very easy. If you plan to build a knowledge base in Notion, right, very exciting, the new Notion AI update from a few days ago means that deep research can access now PDFs. So it makes now for the first time sense to upload PDFs to Notion. In general, I would be careful with using Notion actually as a dedicated file storage system. Very important, right? Despite that we can upload files now, that doesn't mean you should cancel your Google Drive subscription and upload everything there. Handling files in Notion is still a bit iffy, so for now, I would still recommend, right, that you have this file storage there, but certain PDFs might now be nice to have them in Notion, right, so that AI can access them when you ask some questions. And last but not least, you could now build Pinterest in Notion, right? You could have a fun flow where whenever you take a snap or you save anything on the web, it gets added to a Notion database in the gallery mode for you to look at later. Those are just a few of the use cases that I'm excited for. I'm very curious to hear from you down below in the comments, please, what you intend to build. And then one last note also, I think the other really exciting part will be less for us as individual users, right? Because it is a bit hacky, right? You saw, like, it takes a few API calls. It is a little bit complicated to set up now. But now that Notion added this API endpoint, we're going to see a lot of the other tools, right, that integrate with Notion add this. For example, Spark, right, a great email client, has an integration with which you can send an email with one click to a Notion database. I assume that it won't take too long for them to add the option to also save attachments. Or all the other tools that integrate with Notion will now be able to send actually files there, which will hopefully make them a lot more useful. So yeah, so much for that. Just a very quick walkthrough through this exciting upgrade. If you want to see any specific use case of these builds, right, again, let me know down below in the comments so I can add that video to my queue. And other than that, yeah, happy building with this cool new Notion feature. It's great that the Notion API is getting some love here. And to wrap up, I'm just going to leave my video for emails to Notion here on the side, so that you can check that out next in case you're curious on building this first workflow and then figuring out how to upload email attachments there. So just click there, and I will see you in a few seconds.